Greetings and welcome. This is Rajiv Makni and the Cell Guru Show is absolutely looking fantastic. Let me give you an example on just how many things and how many good things are coming out. Our top story today is a big one, the Realme GT Neo 3. Why am I saying big? 150 watt fast charger in the box and the MediaTek Dimensity 8100. Now this is a performance focused phone, but will it live up to our expectations? The price point 42,999 for the 150 watt variant. Then we move on to the other big one, huge one, the OnePlus 10R. Honestly, a lot of people will feel that this is almost the same as the GT Neo 3 or the GT Neo 3 is the same as the OnePlus 10R. Different design language, same MediaTek Dimensity 8100 processor, almost the same camera, 150 watt charging, but priced about 1,000 rupees more for the 150 variant. But I have to tell you, the difference between these two and the one that we really liked, I think the OnePlus 10R has a little bit of an edge. We'll tell you why. Then the big review, the Nokia G21, budget phone, long battery life, focus on Android, clean Android, security updates, sturdy phone. But can Nokia take on the highly competitive under 15,000 rupee market? Another big review, the Tecno Phantom X, really good looking phone, design award winner from Tecno, nice curved edges, a lot of fantastic things, including the fact that it has an AMOLED screen with curved edges at this price point. That's amazing. Let's get started with this week's Cell Guru Show. So we'll start off with our top story review. This is the Realme GT Neo 3. The racing stripes at the back, you're either going to love it or hate it. Subtle black variant is available too, which is I think a better version of it. Incredibly light phone, but the camera bump quite large. In-display fingerprint scanner. No IP rating surprisingly, 6.7-inch Full HD AMOLED display, which is pretty good. 120Hz refresh rate. Then the MediaTek Dimensity 8100 chipset makes this a great phone. The Realme UI 3.0 with Android 12. 80 watt fast charger with 5000 mAh battery, 150 watt fast charger with 4500 mAh battery. So it's a well priced phone, but eventually what did it really tell us? These are great specs on paper. What is the reality?
The Realme GT Neo 3 is yet another attempt by the Shenzhen-based company to invoke the spirit of grand touring and channel a sense of speed and fast-paced living. But at a time when every phone is prioritizing those features, it takes more than just a pretty paint job to stand out. In the Cell Guru review of the Realme GT Neo 3, we see if there's more than meets the eye to the company's speedy hardware. True to its name, the Realme GT Neo 3 lives the fast-paced life in its design. The copious use of racing strips and bright colors showcase an element of speed, while a much more subtle black variant is available for those who want something a bit more discreet. The GT Neo 3 doesn't really break the boundaries of design, but the glass back and polycarbonate midframe meet each other with a high tolerance level, and the lightweight of the phone too is very noticeable. That's the positives. What isn't so great about the GT Neo 3 is the large camera bump that doesn't quite let the phone sit flat on the table. Moving along, the buttons have good tactile feedback too. We really liked Realme's implementation of an under-display fingerprint scanner. It was both fast and accurate in our time with the phone. Unfortunately, the phone misses out on modern conveniences like an IP rating. Moving over to the display, you will find a typically Realme vibrant panel. The 6.7-inch Full HD AMOLED screen has been tuned for saturation and makes multimedia content pop with its contrast-heavy settings. It is, however, possible to tone it down a bit using the settings, and we vastly preferred the more accurate-looking colors with the phone set to natural mode. Like most mid to high-end phones, the display is HDR10+ capable, making it a great choice for viewing content from popular streaming services like Netflix. The dual stereo speakers add to the enjoyment, and we found them to be suitably loud, though they can sound a bit shrill when cranked up to the maximum volume. The Realme GT Neo 3 is a performance-oriented phone, and the choice of the recently introduced Dimensity 8100 chipset certainly is interesting. The chipset places the phone in line with last year's flagship and has more than enough computing performance to meet the needs of gamers. More importantly, the phone comfortably manages thermal output. Of course, day-to-day usage was never a problem, but the phone stays relatively cool to the touch even while gaming, which is a big achievement. The performance is further aided by the lightweight Realme UI 3.0 built on top of Android 12. Coming to battery life and charging speeds, here's where things get interesting. The Realme GT Neo 3 ships in two variants. Users buying the 80-watt version of the phone get a larger 5000 mAh battery, whereas the 150-watt variant gets an ever so slightly small 4500 mAh cell. The differences in battery life are marginal but notable enough if you are a heavy user. In our use case, the 150-watt variant got through a full day of use but would need a top-off towards the end of the day after extensive gaming and use. The 150-watt charging comes in handy here with its ability to deliver a 50% charge in 5 minutes. The Realme GT Neo 3 ships with 3 cameras, but its imaging prowess primarily extends to the main shooter. The primary 50-megapixel camera is capable of capturing punchy images with a wide dynamic range and excellent HDR control. The phone also manages to control noise levels during low-light shots with ease. Unfortunately, what you gain in the primary sensor is lost in the ultra-wide shooter. The 8-megapixel camera just doesn't resolve too much detail and noise levels shoot up quite a bit. This is all the more noticeable in less than ideal light. The Realme GT Neo 3 is clearly skewed towards gaming enthusiasts who also want ultra-quick charging speeds. From the design to the emphasis on charging ensure that the phone isn't quite an overall package. Still, if you fit into those use cases, there's an ample value to be found. Priced at 42,999 rupees for the 150-watt variant, the Realme GT Neo 3 could be the phone for performance seekers on a budget.
Now let's move on to our big review of much awaited phone, the OnePlus 10R. So once again, 150-watt fast charging, 6.7-inch 120Hz FHD plus very fluid display, MediaTek 8100 chipset, Android 12 with the very nice Oxygen OS 12.1. Great camera performance, 50 megapixel plus 8 megapixel plus 2 megapixel rear camera. Again, 80 watt will come with 5000 mAh battery, 150 watt with 4500 mAh battery. So I'll tell you why I feel that the OnePlus 10R has a little bit of edge on the Realme, and that is basically the looks are way better. There's no comparison out there. Camera performance a little bit better tuned. I thought that was something that was quite obvious, and of course then the awesome Oxygen OS.
With OnePlus phones hitting new highs when it comes to pricing, the company has been introducing new models to fill the glaring price segment gaps in its portfolio. However, that ever-widening portfolio is also seeing more and more devices inspired by the broader BBK portfolio. The OnePlus 10R, however, might be the first time we are seeing two nearly identical phones launched simultaneously. Is it the end of OnePlus as we know it, or does the never-settling brand has some fight in it? We find out in the Cell Guru review. Appearances can be deceiving, but not so much in the case of the OnePlus 10R. The phone looks like no other OnePlus phone before it in more ways than one. The flat edges and equally flat back are in sharp contrast to the more natural curve-inspired design OnePlus has going on with the rest of its portfolio. While the iPhone-like flat edges gives you a good grip over the phone, the OnePlus 10R feels surprisingly big given the size of the display. Moreover, the design is entirely polycarbonate and gloss and certainly doesn't feel as luxurious as the price suggests. However, the real kicker is the absence of an alert slider. Now, we've seen some budget OnePlus phones go without it, but it is astonishing to see a premium OnePlus phone drop the hallmark feature. It's come to be known as one of the most distinguishing features for the brand and is genuinely useful to boot, so the absence of the feature is particularly disappointing. Switching over to the display, the 6.7-inch 120Hz AMOLED screen looks plenty good. With support for HDR, watching multimedia content is a treat and avid Netflix addicts will find it handy for watching videos on the go. The stereo speakers also add to the experience. Other features include a quality in-display fingerprint scanner that is quick to unlock the phone and get going. No IP rating here though, so you'll be well advised to keep the phone out of the water. On the performance side, the OnePlus 10R is going with the MediaTek 8100 chipset for its performance chops. It's fast and the phone can handle high-end gains with ease. Benchmarks place the phone closer to the last year's flagship, but the MediaTek 8100 one-ups the Snapdragon 888 with better thermal management, making it a great choice. The clean software build also adds to the experience. One of the hallmark features of the OnePlus 10R is its spanking new 150-watt charging support. In fact, the phone ships in two configurations, one with 4500 mAh battery and 150-watt support, and another with a 5000 mAh battery and 80-watt support. Despite the huge difference on paper, the gulf between 150 and 80-watt charging isn't quite as huge, and in our opinion, most users will be perfectly content with the extremely fast 80-watt charging and larger battery. The latter ensures that the phone can last a few more of gaming or any other tasks you throw at it. The cameras, on the other hand, are adequate at best. Now, OnePlus isn't exactly known for the best cameras on the market to begin with, but the combo here is far from class-leading. The primary 50-megapixel sensor is predictably the most capable with good dynamic range and a lot of detail. The phone handles daylight shots just fine. Low-light shots aren't too bad either, with ample detail, though we've seen better elsewhere. The secondary cameras, however, leave much to be desired. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide has significantly worse color science and details than the primary shooter. This picture quality dips even further once the light drops. The 2-megapixel macro camera is nothing special either, and we struggled to get usable shots out of it. Price starting at 38,999 rupees, the OnePlus 10R is a curious beast. It's a phone that just doesn't feel like a OnePlus phone, and longtime fans will have plenty to dislike about that fact. But what's more astonishing is that you can get the Realme GT Neo 3, a phone that is identical in specs to the OnePlus 10R, for an even lower price. But before you get carried away, while the two phones might be identical in specs, there are some differences. For one, Realme's phone ships with the ample bloatware pre-installed, while the OnePlus does not. Additionally, the OnePlus 10R gives you longer software support for a total of 3 major updates and 4 years of security patches versus 2 major updates and 3 years of patches on the GT Neo 3. Finally, the more subtle design of the OnePlus 10R might be a bit more appealing to some users. Overall, the OnePlus 10R isn't really a bad phone. It gets the basics right, but the lack of identity might be its undoing and give further fuel to the never-ending conversation that the old OnePlus is well and truly dead.
Let's take a quick break right now on the Cell Guru Show. When we come back, lots more happening. So this is a week with absolutely fantastic big reviews, and Nokia comes up with a brand new phone, the Nokia G21. Great build quality, big on battery, 5050 mAh battery. It'll easily last you about 2 days even with slightly heavy usage. 50 megapixel triple back camera. Nokia struggles here because we didn't find it too good. Then the 720p resolution is also something which the competition has really caught up in the 12,000-13,000 variety. 90Hz refresh rate, which is good. Ships with Android 11, and of course the rest of what Nokia offers makes this very, very different. Absolutely clean, no bloatware, and the Nokia branding and what they give you as service.
Nokia, the iconic brand, has given us some unforgettable phones long back, but lately has been faltering quite a lot with the new smartphones, especially in the budget to mid-range segment. The G21 comes as a successor to the G20, which was launched last year. It promises a great battery life, is predominantly powered by stock Android, and offers a 50 megapixel primary camera. But is it enough to survive the market that provides more to the customer in the same price point? We find out in our Cell Guru review. As soon as you unbox the phone, it comes across as sturdy, well-built device. Despite being made of plastic, the phone feels premium. The back panel has a matte finish, and the textured pattern makes it easy to hold. The device feels extremely light as compared to some of the other phones in the same range. The fingerprint scanner is placed on the right side and works exceptionally smooth. The front seems to be dated with the water drop notch. The chin has a thick bezel while the sides are thin. The speakers are placed at the bottom but are not very loud. You might want to plug in your earphones while watching content or listening to music. The device boasts of a big 6.5-inch screen, but you immediately know that there have been some compromises that have been made. While the large display is great for social media browsing, checking your mails, or watching Instagram reels, the 720p resolution makes the movie watching experience pretty dull. The colors are muted and we miss the vibrancy that some phones with 1080p resolution are offering. We struggle to use the phone under bright sunlight. The 90Hz refresh rate made for some smooth scrolling. Coming to the camera, the first thing we noticed is that it does not have the ultra-wide camera unlike its predecessor, the G20. The G21 has a 50-megapixel primary camera on the back along with a 2-megapixel macro camera and a 2-megapixel depth sensor. The 50-megapixel camera does not live up to its expectations. The device needs to be steady to focus, else the photographs will be blurred. While the photos are nice, you definitely miss the details. The AI imaging made the photo look processed but did nothing else. The portrait camera can get the job done, but we felt that the edges of the photos were slightly blurred. Talking about the macro camera, the photos were nice with plenty details. The device boasts of an 8-megapixel selfie camera in the front, but the selfies were disappointing to say the least. They lacked the depth, and in the beauty mode, the AI made the skin look unnaturally smooth and washed out. If you're using the Nokia G21 for email, scrolling, social media feeds and browsing the internet and other day-to-day usage, you'll be pretty pleased with how the phone handles itself. It is powered by Unisoc T606 processor, which simply means that it does not support 5G. The operating system is Android 11, though Nokia is promising 2 years of OS upgrades, which is pretty good. The Nokia G21 offers up to 128GB of onboard storage that supports expansion via microSD card up to 512GB. However, every time I tried to download Call of Duty Mobile, the phone kept crashing. If you are looking for a gaming phone, then maybe this isn't the phone for you. Battery. This is where the phone outshines other phones in this price bracket. The company claims that the battery will last you up to 3 days with normal usage. The phone comes with a 5050 mAh battery and it was plenty good. However, the downside is that it comes with an 18-watt fast charger and there is nothing fast about it. It took me about 2 hours to get to full charge. Nokia might not be promising you a power pack device, but the device does come with a great battery and a sturdy build. However, with companies leaving no stone unturned in the camera department, even for budget phones, Nokia definitely needs to pull up their socks. Priced at Rs 12,999, this is a phone that you might want to consider in the budget segment.
Now let's move on to another big review, the Tecno Phantom X. This is now Tecno moving into a completely different bracket at the 25,000 rupee mark. And this is a big one for them, but they've done a great job with this phone. First, I have to tell you, absolutely fantastic looking phone. One of the best looking phones, real eye candy. They've already won design awards for this. Then the 6.7-inch 90Hz display is fantastic. AMOLED screen, curved edges at 25,000 rupees doesn't happen. MediaTek HELIO G95 processor, 50-megapixel triple rear camera, which performed well. Dual front camera with flash, which means this phone has 5 cameras. 33-watt fast charging with a 4700 mAh battery, priced at about 25,000 rupees. I think Tecno has a bit of a winner.
While Xiaomi and Realme might steal the limelight, Tecno is an underrated champion, stealing away market share in large parts of the country. It has higher ambitions and is aiming for the premium mid-range market with the Tecno Phantom X. But specs are just one aspect of a phone. Will the Tecno Phantom X turn out to be a surprise champion, or will it meet the same fate as the titular Phantom of the Opera? That's what we aim to find out in our review. Glass and metal has been done to death, but the Phantom X proves that there's still room to differentiate. The entire rear panel is finished with textured glass that feels luxurious to the touch and reminds you of OnePlus phones. The finish also helps avoid smudges and fingerprints, which is a definite win. The camera module is also an interesting feature. Most phones have a corner-mounted camera, not so on the Tecno Phantom X. The centrally placed camera module includes 3 sensors as well as an LED flash and certainly looks unique. Over at the front is a curved display with asymmetrical bezels. While the bezels on the left and right are reasonably slim, that's not the case at the top and bottom. You might also be surprised to see the large camera cutout. While the camera notches have gotten pretty small over the years, the Tecno Phantom X is proud of the double-sized cutout that includes not one but two cameras in it. One is a massive 48 megapixel sensor and the other with an ultra-wide lens. And yes, there is Gorilla Glass 5 protecting the entire display. We also found the location of the in-display fingerprint sensor to be bang on, and the phone is exceptionally easy and quick to unlock. What the phone lacks in stereo speakers, it makes up in a single loudspeaker that goes plenty loud and has full sounding output. The Tecno Phantom X comes powered by a MediaTek HELIO G95 chipset. It's not the top of the line in the segment, but there's plenty of power to be found here. The dual Cortex A76 cores combined with 6 Cortex A55 cores help the phone find the right balance of grunt to power through apps and games, while also ensuring long standby times. The Phantom X also does an excellent job with battery life. Overall endurance is very good and the phone easily pushes on to deliver a day and a half of use. You can thank the 4700 mAh battery and also very good software optimization for that. Charging speeds are respectable though not best in class. Still, 33-watt charging means that a 30-minute charge is enough for a 50% charge, which in turn will get you a day of use. The crown jewel in the Phantom X's portfolio is its 50 megapixel primary sensor, one of the largest sensors in the segment. Images are plenty sharp with dynamic range being the standout feature. On occasion, the camera struggles with exposure settings that can be easily corrected with a single tap. The same performance extends to less than grey lighting where the Tecno Phantom X keeps noise levels on the down low and pushes punchy colors to boot. We quite like the results from the telephoto sensor with the 2x optical bump giving users decent reach. Finally, there is the ultra-wide sensor. This is the same 8 megapixel camera we have seen used surprisingly often. Dynamic range here tends to be a bit narrow with color appealing a bit washed out. Tecno has done a pretty decent job with the selfie cameras too. The phone's HDR algorithms do an impeccable job of creating even lighting even in the extreme dynamic lighting conditions. Priced at 25,999 rupees, the Tecno Phantom X isn't trying to be the best at everything. Instead, it is giving users what they want: decent performance, cameras that punch above their weight, and a design that looks premium. The Tecno Phantom X is a great option for those who need a more well-rounded phone.
That then was the Cell Guru show for this week. As always, we've got a great amount of things happening next week. Do join me, Rajiv Makhni, on the show.